Great. It will start recording in a minute. Perfect. Okay, so blogs today. Everything about blogs and above all, why blogging? Yeah, this is the main question. What are the benefits of blogging? How to go about it? And what is the outcome of blogging eventually? Now, let's make of it a question and answer session. So I'm going to start with some introductory questions, but of course, feel free to interrupt me and to ask as well. If there is something unclear, then we're going to deal with it. And also, probably if you guys raise your hand, I'm going to lose sight of you because I will be sharing. In this case, just feel free to cut me. If you have a question, just feel free to cut me. Okay, so I was saying yesterday, I sent a message to the whole community saying that one email only can be worth 360 euros. And if we think about it and we take this idea to its ultimate consequence, we can monetize a big deal. The only investment that for now, for you, is a matter of time, not a matter of money. Now, good content pays off always. Yes, you can spend some time working on it, but good content pays off. And this is not just me saying it, it's a trend, and we see that the results are there. So a good communication starts with good content and a good email. And we're going to see how exactly that works. Now, for those who might think, yes, but so you were talking about an email or a blog to sell, so it will have a lot of selling elements. Let me tell you up front, the content that sells doesn't have the obvious selling elements. So in order to structure, this is the first idea. In order to structure a blog with selling purposes, with commercial purposes, the only thing that you shouldn't do is structure it for selling purposes. So forget about it. What you have to do is focus on great content and most importantly, following up on leads. And here is the second idea that I'm going to introduce, but let me insist on the first one. A well-written blog, and we will see how we're going to write it well. A well-written blog and a well-written email is worth 360 euros. I have done very simple math. So if our average ticket for the student is 60 euros a month, yeah, 60 euros a month, 40%, which is your margin, the margin for getting the student, multiplied by the lifetime of a client, which is 15 months, gives us, as a result, 360 euros. So if you get a client without even teaching, you can, this is the money, this is the return over time. This is the return that you're going to have. If you think that way and then you increase that number, you are going to reach a great business shortly. So how to structure a blog for sales is focusing on content, and this is number one. Number two, using that content for follow-up. So this is the first idea. Now, the second idea is that we have leads, and in order to get clients, the first thing, obviously, is to focus on leads. And here is where a lot of people have a very short-sighted strategy. So they think, okay, I've got a lot of leads, but none of them have converted, or very little have converted. Just a minute, guys. Sorry. So since just a certain number converts, so why bother? And not only that, but they're kind of suspicious. They start being suspicious. Oh, so I send people to Oxinity, but then nothing happens. So it must be not so great. It's there is something wrong with it. Yeah. And I have to literally invite you here to start thinking quite the opposite. So getting clients is a matter of a funnel. We know that in e-commerce, in online, getting clients is a product of we have first to get prospects and then act upon them. When we act upon them in the correct way, then two will try, one will become client. If we have this space, we know that we are growing sustainably. But if we, from the point of view of the client, in order to get that client, we have got 3 more chances to transmit and communicate. So if we start thinking of leads as I've got, for each client that I get, I have 3 more people that have heard about me. And if I do things with them, then I can obtain more benefits. Then the obvious reflection is, and what do I do with them? And I give you the answer straight away. You follow up with content again. So this is the second idea. My leads can become my subscribers. If my message is not buy me, buy these classes, but here is how you can learn better, then they're going to eventually become clients as well. And Maria can tell you very good examples of people that she's been following up and eventually they become clients. So what happens between the process of getting a lead and a client, and what happens with those leads that don't become clients? The leads that don't become clients have still the necessity of learning English. Therefore, these guys are looking for a teacher, and probably they have found a teacher. It's not you, it's someone else. But they have had also an experience with that teacher. We don't know whether it was good or bad. And a lot of them must have had poor experiences. Some of them will have good experiences. Some of them will have not so great experiences. So if we are there reminding about ourselves every now and then through content, then we are increasing our chances that these people react in the right moment for them. So even if at first wasn't the right time for them, with content we can literally be on their inbox or WhatsApp in the right moment. So the attitude towards leads has to be, a lead is a treasure that I have, that I store. And if I act upon these leads, I can get a return from them. So getting leads is the best thing that you can have. People that have clicked, and not only for following up, but the remarketing mechanism also acts upon them. So they see the brand every now and then, while reading, while researching for information, while buying a ticket, while buying shoes, whatever. And sooner or later, they can react to that. And this client is for you. So these are the things that you have to remember. And lastly, why the strategy of blogging versus the strategy of, for instance, a marketplace? Because let's face it, right now, an English teacher can either look for students in marketplaces or elsewhere. So elsewhere is the internet in general. Marketplaces is something that concentrate a lot of offer in the same place. So whenever those who have some notions of business and economy might know that whenever we have a high concentration of offer in the same place, prices drop down. That's why you are competing with lower prices. Because of that, a marketplace has a lot of teachers there. James explained it very well in last Friday talk. that you are competing for the attention of several students, but thousands of teachers are competing, so it's very hard to do that. It's very hard. No, on top of that, you pay the marketplace, so they get that money, but eventually the outcome is that you have to lower your price. You pay to lower your price, so it's a little bit there is an inconsistency there. So the alternative, the new option here, what's the alternative? Yeah, next question, logical. What's the alternative? And the alternative is, yes, we are creating that marketplace where you will benefit from no matter what you are, what your student chooses, because on top of the sale that you are going to get, even if you're not the chosen teacher, even if when someone else is, to the sale itself, to the purchase itself of the client, you're adding an hour. So Georgina is offering classes, or Kaylee is offering classes. The student chooses Jim or Gergo because they want to be with a male teacher, and the student is with Jim, but Georgina has the client, and on top of that, she can request for an hour if she wants. The benefit is double. Okay, so and the question of why doing blogs is, let me tell you, to me, the two main benefits, or three, are, first of all, it requires only your time. If you learn to do it well, and we will see it next, how to improve our results, then you are going to be highly positioned on Google. Now, what happens when you're highly positioned on Google happens two things: the remarketing mechanism, and people are clicking, and you can have follow-ups, leads and follow-ups. Now, I will start showing you now an example with someone that wrote a blog post. And maybe I've shown you this example, but once more, it won't hurt. And you will see that eventually that person is definitely right now, not living from teaching, but living from all this formula, the one that gives her the margin. Or even before I show you this, I'll start with a simple Google search. The Google search is Mejores Academias de Inglés en Barcelona. No accent, no, well, okay, I'll write the accents, come on. I'm a philologist. Okay, yeah. So this is my search, and I have some paid adverts here. I will see some paid adverts. But the first thing that I will see after the paid adverts, number one, is this. So oxinity.com/blog, and then there is, someone has written that. Let's check it. So I click here on it, and here is our colleague, our partner, Ana Elena. She wrote a couple of years ago that, and this is top one on Google right now, or in page one in any ways. So this is an unbeatable blog post, and that makes her have 2-3 leads every day. Only this. So she wrote this content, she wrote this blog. Right now it's page one on Google, and she's monetizing it a big deal. So this formula of the 360 euros, she has multiplied many times with this blog post. What does it contain? Something that people search. 5 best academies in Barcelona. And having said that, please, guys, do not now start writing about the best academies in the different cities, because it's not necessary. I mean, she found that niche, she's writing, or she wrote about it, and having repeated content is not going to help. But there are still many things that you can do. Okay, so many things that you can do. And I've been delivering content to, or ideas to, some of you, and Georgina knows that, for instance, I told her, write about the phrasal verbs, or no, not the phrasal verbs, but the conditionals. Yeah, the conditionals. Exactly.
But
And
it's a lot
so
of work. It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work, but if you manage to have it on page one, and yeah, it will pay off. And those blog posts that are well written, we have an expert that is putting them the right keywords in the backstage, so to speak, so that these blogs are so that they scale. So I'll give you another example with something that now not Anna, but I wrote this. So mejores academias de inglés en León. Okay, and this blog is more recent and it's not performing. Oh, actually, it is performing quite well, because again, this is it. Now, because of my colleague, the SEO expert, we managed to put that blog post on page one of Google. And the intention when you create content, it is exactly the same. To do it, we keep track of their progress, and whenever we see that there is something well written, then we put keywords there and it scales on Google. Another example, just for you to see, is inglés para militares. And there must be, I hope, yeah, here there is another colleague of ours, another partner that created some years ago this one, and as you can see, that found its niche and it's scaling up. So the reason why it's very obvious, eventually you come to monetize a blog post with the only investment of your time. So having said that, now let's see the details of it. Now, what exactly do people react to, and how we can go about it? So it's very important to forget about cliches, right? If we're going even if we're going to talk about or to write about the phrasal verbs, even in that case, we have to have from the first sentence, and this is my tip number one, we have to have a phrase or a sentence that is catching their attention. So it's not the same if I say learn aprende los phrasal verbs o lista de los phrasal verbs. It's not the same as aprende rápido el listado o la lista de los phrasal verbs. Learn fast, quickly, the phrasal verbs. Okay, it is completely different. The outcome is different because people react to one, all these inputs tell us a big deal. So one word, aprende rápido, is adding a nuance that speaks a lot. So instead of just, okay, I have to learn this, you're telling me a fast way of learning it. Yeah, that is something that will help a lot. So thinking of your opening sentence is of extreme importance. Now, when you write, people tend to write in a logical way, and that's great. But when we read, we want to catch the most important things. We're going to see exactly how to achieve that. But the first thing is, and my first advice is, your opening sentence has to be very well thought. The call to action has to be very well thought. And I'm going to show you now another example. Just a minute, guys, just to see some differences, and we can analyze them as well. Why in one case is better than the other. Okay. I'm talking about the opening line, right? I'm talking about the first thing that your readers are going to read. Now, I have written something that it's not posted, and I'll tell you why it's not posted, even though it's not a bad content. Yeah, there's a lot of content here. It's long and it's not badly written, but it has one flow, and it's very monotonous. Yeah, it feels monotonous because I haven't put any format here. But the opening sentence is very carefully thought, and it says. Esta historia debería cambiar tu mentalidad sobre cómo aprender inglés, or in English, this story should change your mindset on how to learn English, right? So this is completely different from learn English with me, I'm the best, for instance. Okay, what we want is people to really think, okay, so is it worth reading or not? And if we are, if we've got it right, they will continue reading. They will say, let me see whether I will actually change my idea or not. And then I'm telling them, I'm going to tell you something about me, and in less than 3 minutes, three things can happen. Either you feel you think that this is or this is your case and you speak great English, or you don't believe anything, or you want to try. So what I'm telling here is that it will take them 3 minutes to read. Yeah, I could have said it will take you 3 minutes to read, but I'm doing something different. So that something different is I'm creating consciously some kind of expectations, a hook there. So maybe one of the lessons for today is when reading, place, or when writing, try to place an image in your readers, so that it's not something that they would say, oh, I know how it's going to end. Oh, you're selling. Oh, I know how it all ends. Okay, so what I've written there is not good to be published, and that's why it's not ready. But I'm absolutely certain about these things. Yeah, my beginning and my opening lines, I'm certain about them. We will see whether they will work or not. I don't know, but I know that at least they can catch the people's attention. Now, talking about that, I'm going to show you another email in this case, but pretty much the same applies to blog posts. And this is this one, which has again something that I'm telling them that I'm not lying. This story is about fathers and children. It's about Father's Day. So it's about fathers and children, and it will have a happy end. Okay, and I'm telling, and with the intention, probably the image is not so great, so well, forget about it. But then I'm writing something here. So here is my second advice to you guys. The first is have a very, very carefully thought opening line. And the second, and I learned that from Georgina, is is to play with format, because if you write everything with the same font size, it's like very monotonous. But when you start inserting bold and italics and then different font size, the eyes are going to the places where you want them to be. So I want people to read Steve Martin and the quote, then Pam Brown and the quote, then Liza Minnelli and the quote. This is what I want them to read, no matter what. The rest, Mark Twain and the quote. This is a great quote, by the way. So what I want them to read is these things. Whether they will read the rest, probably, if they find the main elements that I stress helpful, probably. So what I discovered quite recently is that in order for people to read, there are two ways of doing it. You can write paragraphs as we've learned at school, So paragraphs with when we complete one paragraph, then we have a line, a space line, and another one, and so on. But there is a different way. But I can see that you have raised your hand, so I'm going to pause it here. Olga, go ahead.
You just mentioned format, and probably you'll be going into it in detail, but that's one of my biggest problems when it comes to writing blogs. I talked with Georgina about this before, and she helped me a bit. She suggested copying and pasting using Word, but it doesn't make much difference, and I'm really having a difficult time with the system there.
I will tell you about it.
Just
Yeah,
a
because
comment
these
about
are
it.
four issues that once you master, it's going to be very easy. Yeah, so I'm going to explain it in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, Georgina.
I was thinking about the length of the blog post because I'm working on a blog post and I broke it into two
Mm-hmm.
because it's like super long, but I want to write all of that. And now I'm thinking of breaking it into three parts.
Mm-hmm.
So, because then I was listening to you thinking if the people scroll down, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to say, Wala, vaya rollo.
No,
So maybe the length, could you give us
no.
some tips about the length
The
or?
length is very important, but it's so my. I'll tell you my experience, and when I, as a reader, not as a writer, as a reader. So, and of course, a research. Um, when if the text is long, but it has a vertical structure, we tend to read it more than if the same length is placed horizontally. So one of the messages is that if we want to catch the attention, we have to go and search for that effect. Now, people don't read. When I receive emails with horizontal paragraphs, very nicely written, but long ones, I don't read them. It feels a lot and I'm busy and I read them later. So my attention is goes to what my eyes without doing this can do. So look always for a verticality. A text has to be vertically structured as a poem, literally. That's why many of us would read a poem before a short story or a novel, because poems, the site is not doing this all the time, but is focusing on the center. And if you include in between space, like this, for instance, there is a line, there is a space here, there is a space here, there is a space here, because it reads better. You are not tiring the eye, the site so much. I could have, in order to spare space, I could have concentrated it in the same paragraph because it's the correct syntax, and text organize from the point of view of organizing text. This is disruptive, but I wanted that effect. I wanted it. I wanted things to be in different lines so that the text breathes better. We read it better.
Okay, so we have
And
to sort of like avoid, I don't know how to say this, like avoid like blocks. Let's say we
that's
have
it.
to avoid like blocks, whether it's text
Avoid
or
blocks. And
concentrated, like correct. Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. And in order to do that, now I'm going to show you now back to blogs. So this is about the email, but the same applies. It's a text that we want to use for to make money. Yeah, this is the same, exactly the same idea. So back to the blogs. I will give you just different examples, and you will see my point. So this blog about the military is fine. It's great. It has some bold text, so definitely the eyes go to it, but it's too much of a text. So I don't know whether it's worth reading at all. Therefore, whether we are going to read it or not, that this is something that depends on how interested we are in the subject, but probably not our choice to read it upfront. So with these different blog posts, there are different blog posts that we're going to analyze next. Yeah, here for instance, I have, again, very consciously played with verticality. Short sentences, vertically arranged, one with space in between. And again, bold italics, a picture. Why? Bram Stoker, quote. Samuel Beckett, quote. James Joyce, quote. This is what I wanted. This is very conscious. Another one that is beautifully written, this one by Georgina, because yeah, look at this layout. She plays with color, with font, and with size. And what she
but Ramila, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like I'm looking at this other thing that I'm writing, and this that you're seeing right now, it's also what you showed before. It's like a conversation that you have with the reader.
Yeah.
And this, for me, it's very nice. But this that you're showing, the conditionals, it's what I imagine myself in a class, what I would be saying. And this is why there's the pauses there. But I'm looking at this other thing that I wrote. The content sort of determines the tone in a way, and it would determine the layout as well. Because what you showed before about the quotes and stuff, I would think, oh, this is probably something inspiring, like more poetic. And I was thinking, was that going to inform me really? When I was looking at it, is that type of layout going to give me information, or is it going to be a poem, or is it is it going to give me valuable information, or is it just going to be I don't know. And anyway, in this case, it's very technical. So when something is very technical or a conversation, it permits that sort of layout maybe. But if I want, my question or my comment would be, if I really want to inform someone about basic information, and would I go that way? That would be my question, if I would go that way.
You will
or my suggestion. I know.
Yeah, you will probably find a different approach to it, but in any case, it applies no matter what you write. The principle applies. First of all, paragraph, like you play with subheading. This is subheading, guys. And we will see how to do it. But first, the concept. This is subheading. It's big for a reason, because we want to identify the different paragraphs. When we read, this is quite a long blog post. If we write it with the same font, they won't read it. But if you are telling them, look, here I explain about the conditional. So look how short it is. You can cope, come on. And then these are examples. You can cope, come on. One activity, if you want to do it, you do it. If not, no problem. Another activity or exercise 3, exercise 4. Then how and when to use it. So you are giving the people, you're giving your readers the choice to decide what to read, even in what order to read. So maybe those who don't want to do the activities or the exercises will just read this. But in any case, the layout helps a lot when we make choices. And hold on. There are other posts that are written in a different way and are not so user-friendly. Let me see. I haven't checked that one. Okay, so it's also a good. That person has that teacher has definitely taken care of format. But here I'm missing the hook. So why would I read this and any other similar blog post on Google? So the first one, the one that will convince me to keep reading, it's not just preposiciones de lugar. Is, for instance, what I told you, aprende rápido, or aprende sin esfuerzo, or something, and we can even improve that. Yeah, it can be expressed even better. But in any case, we're thinking that opening line, and paragraphing, break it into paragraphs. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that if you want, but here, for instance, this is what I told Manuel, to break it into paragraphs, because his content was good and he's done it. but it was very dense when you were reading it. So now he has included a little symbol, this one here, that makes a difference. Very, very tiny, but it makes a difference. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can achieve that with the tool that we have, which is the
Camila,
one.
can I say two things? Sorry, can I say two
Yeah,
things?
of course.
Please, everybody, please do not write the title in high caps. Do not do that. It's not. It doesn't help the eye to identify the letters, so it's not user friendly or eye friendly. Do not do that, and do not write reading text in another color that is not black. If not, it's not pleasant for the eye to read. It irritates the eye, and text to be read should be black always. Headings and outlines can be whatever color, but the text to read, please, even in activities, please just write it black.
Great.
That's how it should follow the guidelines of editorial design. Yeah.
As for the headlines, I think that if they're all in capital letters, it might be something to do with the code. It's not necessarily the author.
Yeah, because I told him, I said, oh, Miguel, he said, okay, I will, and nothing. So yeah, maybe it's the code. Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, because I also write the subheadings in not in capital, and then they appear in capital letters, all of them. But well, okay. So how to do it? We're going to start a blog post from scratch, and I'm going to explain very quickly the elements here. So in order for a blog post to be posted, there are two elements necessary: the date here and this thumbnail here. If one of them is missing, the post will not be posted. This is simply, you click on it, pop-up message shows, allowing you to choose picture, and you select it, and then you will have it. Yeah, as simple as this. Then the images inside. Now I'm going with some specific tips. The images inside the blog post, what we're going to put here, then we do them with drag and drop. I'm going to stop sharing and start again, just a minute. So now if you see my screen, I'm going to show you how this is done. For instance, yeah, at first, or this one. So if in the first place we have to upload the image here, we just drag and drop it. And here is my image, which is very big right now. I dislike it that way. So what I can do, one hack, you can use this button here to enlarge the screen, to maximize. Okay, so when you double click on the image, you resize it. And here is for instance, I can make it 350 pixels. Play with it, trial and error. You play with it, and until you like it. So this is the image, the same image that was super large, and of course all the images, it's a good idea to have the same size, right? So that it looks nicer and tidy. And then you can wrap the text around the image that way. Yeah. And anything that I write here will appear. Oops. Where am I writing? Yeah. So it will appear here. Okay. So this, even though it feels that it's very that it's next to the picture, eventually, once saved, has a margin, as you can see. Now, a good idea is to, as I said, and you've probably been doing, to copy from a Word document. Now, here I have one. and I'm going to show you a text and what you can do with it. So, right, an excerpt from Alice in Wonderland, which I'm going to write about next. And I just take this text here, and of course I can format it here, but you can format it in the blog post as well. So you copy and paste the text, and you obtain something like that. Now, my advice is to get rid of it's not the same, as you can see. This has nothing to do with this. So select the text, and then with this button here, you eliminate any previous formatting. Okay, so we have the text, just plain text. And from this point onwards, my advice is now we start using subheading 2, subheading 3, bold, italics, as we want. So we select, for instance, this one. I'm going to turn this one into subheading 2. Then I go to subheading 2. And then I'm going to turn this into subheading 3. I'm doing it. And then I'm going to give it some color. I'm doing it. And then I'm going to highlight this that way. Yeah, and then it's a matter of trial and error. You may dislike it. This is ugly, but okay, I'm just want to show you what you can do. You can resize the font, so 28 here, and so on. This is a very simple text box. It doesn't contain many fonts, but we don't need, Georgina, take her words, we don't need just a variety of fonts. We need to work on the content. The content has to be very nice, and the format has to be user-friendly. This is what we want eventually. Now, Google reads this, heading 2 and heading 3. Leave heading 1 only for the title. You don't need it in the text box. In the text box, Google will read heading 2 and heading 3. So in heading 2 and heading 3, use keywords. If your keyword is phrasal verbs, use it every now and then in the text, in bold, and in the headings, heading 2, heading 3. One way or another. Use it wisely. It has to be natural to read. It has to read natural, but use it. So if you're going to talk about phrasal verbs, then it has to appear in different combinations. For instance, list of phrasal verbs, it can appear in singular phrasal verb, for instance. Don't miss this very commonly used phrasal verb, okay? Because these things matter. So, or for instance, when I write about academies, Academia de Inglés, I use curso de inglés, Academia de Inglés, clases de inglés, profesores de inglés, and it's singular, escuela de inglés, curso de inglés. I use also inglés para niños or aprender inglés. So I use it a lot, but it has to read naturally. So Olga, does that answer your questions? Oh, no, she's there. Yeah. Olga? Well, she'll answer.
Hi, Radmila. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part. I'm in the middle of a busy street now.
If that answers your question, that was my question.
Yes. It looks like it does, but again, I don't really remember all the details that come up when I try to, write a blog post. There's always some little detail that is very difficult to do somehow. It's a very simple thing if you work on Word, but once you try to, paste it on the system or do it on the system, either the same icons don't exist or it just doesn't keep the same format.
No,
So
it doesn't
that's
keep the
my
same. Yeah, it's true.
difficulty. Yeah.
It's true, but my advice is to after a lot of writing, I first copy here or I write here. Why? This has a text corrector, so I want to run it through a spell check first,
I see.
but then what I work with the format here actually.
I see.
And,
Yeah.
and
I used to do that, and then Georgina actually advised me to do the other way around. Do it on Word and keep the same format, but neither of them has been working, I must say, perfectly well for me for now.
Because it's never the same. Yes, there is one way. I'm going to show it to you. So you can, for instance, what is this? No. Okay. Imagine that you copy all this and you want to paste it here in your text. Okay, so there is one way. We forget about all this now, and we use another button that probably Georgina has used, which is it this one? Yeah, copy from Word. Exactly. We use this one.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm using that one as well. But in the little box, it looks like it will keep the format, but it doesn't really work with many things for some reason. Maybe can it be because of my word? I mean, like whether it's
what word are you using? Because what happens here is that the for example, in terms of fonts, yeah, the fonts, the system fonts, or that can be used on the blog post are limited because they have to be on all computers, let's say, okay? Whereas the fonts that you might use on your personal computer are very different. It also happens with, I do this on Google, okay? And some fonts that I use on Google, like Lobster, Pacific, whatever, they can't be embedded on this system, but it maintains the format, okay, with a Georgia font, whatever, okay? But the visual hierarchy is maintained. And then the other thing that doesn't sort of like whatever, paste whatever, would be the listing. So what I do is if I want to list something, I keep it on my Word on another like separate block, and I list from the editor. So some little things, but definitely use the Google Word document much better, because if not, all the styles might not be able to be
this is true.
Whatever, yeah.
True. Actually, I haven't tried Google Docs. I'm gonna try that one next trip.
Yeah. In this case, it kept it. Yeah, Google Docs is highly compatible with this. So in this case, you see that it kept it pretty identical. You know, it did it. It did it fine. Yeah. So you play with it. I insist very much on that. You have a tool here full of characters. How many of them have you actually clicked? So
I've tried. To my experience, I've tried almost all of them. But of course, compared to Word, they are very limited. But there are a few things, such as the thing that Georgina mentioned earlier, like the headlines always come up in capital letters, which to me it's really like, because it's like you're shouting at the reader, and I really don't.
Yes, we will. Yeah, this is programming. This has nothing to do with you. So this is code which we're going to fix, because you're right.
So it's a few things that are so stubborn and difficult to change. Not the, I mean, in general, it's not very difficult to, play around with it. But there are a few things that if you insist, it just doesn't happen. That's why.
Yeah, you're right there. So, well, with the time, I'm not going to tell you now, send me a list of things, because I'm going to create false expectations. We're going to, there are ways of improving that as well, because with programming, everything is possible. It's a matter of the right time. So we'll get to to plan more user-friendly framework for the blogging as well. I'm aware, because I write them. I know how sometimes annoying it can be. But on the other hand, if we have managed to create such a beautiful content as Georgina's, then I'm sure that it's definitely possible. So here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and what else? How to add a video. Here you have a button, add video. It creates an iframe. We double click on it. This is something, for instance, you may not know what to do. So scroll. You scroll until you find where the box is. And then you have to embed your video, the video that you want to embed. So you go to YouTube and you go to the content of the channel, and you actually have to open this on YouTube. Let me though answer. Oops. Click share. Take the code because we need this piece of code here. This. The one that says actually YouTube/embed. Yeah. And this is what we take. And this is what we insert here. And since I'm recording, if you don't remember anything, then I'm going to create a tutorial, and I'm going to cut the video in some parts so that you can check later. But this is how it works, right? So when we now save this video, then here it is. And you can resize it as we did with the image. Okay, so just a couple of more details which are very important. One is the title. As I said, think carefully and have something engaging, something that would make people really want to read, like learn or aprende los phrasal verbs. Aprende rápido. Okay, for instance, it can be a little bit longer, but I want to show you now the mechanics. Okay, so I have my title. What I'll do is all the symbols that I can do of, I don't know, smiley face or one of those arrows or whatever is fine. If you can incorporate, fantastic. If not, you just leave it like that. You copy that, and the same has to go in the URL here in long tail. Long tail is your URL. But it has to go with no accent. So get rid of all the accents and get rid of question marks and dots and weird stuff. With a click out, the system will put the hyphens in between, and this is what will go in your URL. And very important, if you're going to write in Spanish, then this has to be Spanish. If you're going to write in English, it has to be English. SEO description and summary is pretty much the same, and it's a very brief summary with keywords about what you're going to talk about. Check how other people have done it. Where am I? No, this. Okay. Yeah, this is it. For instance, las 5 frases que te harán soñar. Ah, no, sonar como todo un nativo cuando hables en inglés. Okay, this piece of text, it goes here in summary and in SEO description. Or this one, for instance. Now, this one is a little bit too much. It has to go in 3-4 lines, ideally. This one is a little bit too much. So, yeah. But truth be told, even though here it seems a little bit too much, then when we look for the same on Google, okay. Yeah, then it concentrates in less. So this is a couple of Google lines here in Google. So this is how it will look like. That's the purpose of SEO description and summary. It will go here. Okay, so well, these are basically the main recommendations that I have for blogging. And again, content is more important than the format, but the format can help reading. So we have to mind both. Great content dressed with a good format. And the purpose, ultimate purpose of creating this content is, one, to be able to be on the first page of Google with the consequence of remarketing and getting leads, and two, doing follow-up with this content. Yes, so that we increase the chances of people remembering us. These are the strategies. I can tell you a lot of examples, a lot of stories for copywriters that send their audience one email every single day, which may be too much. But if the content is engaging, your subscribers are going to be looking after it. So it will feel that they will be looking forward to the next email, to the next content, and so on. So guys, any questions before we go? No? Gergo, Jim, how was that useful for you?
Yeah, great for me, thank you.
Yeah, definitely for me too.
So I mean, I've read content written by Gergo, and it's amazing. I would continue. It's amazing. It's the analyses are so sharp and so nicely written. They're super engaging. So I would become a subscriber of yours for sure. Olga, beautiful blog posts for stories, and she takes excerpts from novels and poems and songs and writes beautiful content. Georgina as well. I haven't read anything from Jim so far, or Kaylee, but I really look forward to reading you guys.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, so this is it. I mean, we continue on Friday. Meanwhile, let me know if you struggle about content, what to write about. I can help you. If you want to write about grammar or vocabulary or whatever you want to write, I have some ideas that I can give you some tips. And that's it, fear not. As Hemingway says, the secret of writing is rewriting. So you can write one thing and then one sentence, after being rewritten 10 times, it will become better, surely.
Thank you, Radmila.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
That was great.
Thank you, Radmila.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.